Dressmakers and friends, welcome back on the channel. In this video, I'll be sharing with you on how to make this spiral fabric. In case you've been wondering how this is achieved, or if you're a beginner, you want to go about this video is just for you.
If you have not subscribed to this channel, now is a good time to do so. After watching this video, if you get value, do well to subscribe to this channel, and then welcome to the family. In this video, here are what we need. We need our polyester thread, we need our organza fabric. Please bear in mind that you do not necessarily need to use organza fabric for this project. Depending on what you're trying to achieve, you're trying to achieve that kind of transparent look, your organza fabric is what you need. If you're trying to achieve it in a fabric kind of look, you can use your regular crepe or any other fabric for it. Okay, so now aside the fabric and the thread, you also need your fishing line. This fishing line comes in different sizes. You can see that this is a 1.2 millimeter size, okay, and you can see that this one is a 1.4 millimeter size. Okay, so it depends on the thickness you're trying to achieve is what will determine what you want to go for. So after you have decided, you can go ahead to buy what you want. Bear in mind also that we have thickness that are even thicker than this one. When you get to the market, you can always ask them fishing line. They will give you whatever it is that you desire. You can just compare the sizes and go for the one you want. Also, you can achieve this by also using a boning. How do you go about using a boning? All you need to do is like get the measurements that you need from your boning. Okay, get the measurements that you need to suffice for your fabric. I have this fabric here. I'm just going to measure my fabric and I'm going to show you. My fabric here is measuring 28 inches. So I'm going to cut something of 28 inches as well. Okay, so I'm going to cut that 28 inches. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. So now after cutting it out, this is what you want to do. You want to open this up. Remember, I told you that we can actually use this or this. Okay, so after you cut out your boning, you can just cut through in the middle like this. Because what we want to do is we want to take out these bones. Can you see clearly? We want to take out these bones. So I'm going to cut through like this in the middle so that it can be really fast for me. Right. So I'm going to take it out just like this. Okay, can you see that? Take it out. Just pull. Can you see that? So take it out. I'm going to take it out one after the other. If you want so I've taken out this now. So this is what we have. So we have successfully been able to bring out the boning. So you can either use this boning or you can use this fishing line. Okay, so any method that you prefer is totally up to you. The next thing we're going to do now is we'll go to our sewing machine and then I'll show us how to get this into this. First, I'm going to use this for the first method. Okay, then I'm going to use this for the second method. I'm going to show you the two methods on the sewing machine right there. So here is the fishing line that I've cut into size. It was just bouncy everywhere. That's the reason why I had to control it with this tape. So here's the fishing line that I already cut into the length that I'll be using. Then this is our fabric as I showed us earlier. So for this fabric, if you want to cut your fabric, you want to know the width of fabric you need. You want to consider how wide do you want the spiral fabric to be at the end of the day. If you want it to be as wide as 10 inches at the end of the day, you have to cut a fabric of at least 20 inches. Because by the time you are done, the width will become like half of the initial measurements. On the width, not the length. Please, dressmakers, I want you to note that. Then if you want it to be whatever you want it to be at the end of the day, you just have to make sure that ×2 of it is what you start with. Okay, so if I'm going to begin with this now, I'm going to begin by turning this. We are just going to end this. Remember that this is just the first method I said I was going to show. So I'm going to end this now. So now the next thing you will do is you will note the spacing you want to give it. Okay, then you are going to sew something of like 1/4 of an inch. That's what you want to sew. You want to sew a place like wide enough for this to be able to like pass through. So I'm just going to sew the first one now. So that's the first one. Then I'm going to pick the second one again. I'm going to leave like this type of spacing, or you can even do a spacing of that is more. So this spacing is like 1 centimeter. Yes, you can see this spacing is 1 centimeter. So I can either do like 1 centimeter or like 1.5 cm on this. Okay, or you can still use the inches. You can do like half inch. You can do like half inch. Okay, if you do like half inch, so do it till the end. So I'm sewing at half inch now. So we have done these two now. You can see that we have done these two. So the next thing you want to do is you want to finish that the entire width of the fabric. I'll do this thing till the very end. Okay, I'll do it to the very end and I'll show you the end result. Then we can move on from there. So I'm just going to be doing the third one now until I get to the very end of this point. Okay, so for this one I think I'm going to make it 3/4 so that I will have half inch spacing. Yeah, I'm going to make it 3/4. So I will have half inch spacing here before the sewing. Okay, so because unlike this one, what we have is just a quarter, which is like 1 centimeter. Okay, so for this one I'll do 3/4 so that at the end of the day I'll still have half inch spacing. So the closer it is, the closer it is, the nicer it will look. So don't go ahead to do like 1 inch or 2 inch apart. You may not get your results. Okay, so I'm going to do the third one, then I'll go ahead to do till the very end of this fabric. With this fabric, we started with 15 inches. So if you take your measurements on this fabric now, you see that, see, this is more like 8 inches. So and that's how that's the reason why I said if you're starting with any fabric, make sure it's like times 2 of what the whiteness you intend to get at the end of the day. So this is what we have now. Okay, so after this point, the next thing you're going to do, you're going to get your fishing line. So I'm going to remove one of this now. Okay, so I'm going to like bond this thing. I want to make it like curve like this so that when I'm passing this through, it will go in easily. Okay, so now we're going to start one after the other, then we start passing. The fact that we have worn it and made it curve will be easy for it to like go into that line. So we have been able to pass the first one. Take a look at what it's looking like. So I'm going to pass the second one as well, and we are going to use the same method. So, So you can see that this is already forming this spiral. See, it has become a spiral. So I'm just going to do the last one. This is the very last one. So look at what our spiral fabric has become. This has become a spiral fabric already. So, so once I'm sure that this has gotten to the very end of all of this, I just straighten it out and I cut off all of my excesses from here. Okay, just like that. To finish up this method, you're just going to grab one end. Or sometimes if you're working with it very long, you may need to cut it in between. So I'm just going to grab one end like this and I'm going to sew this thing on. Let me show us how to do that. The machine will be able to sew over it. The machine will be able to sew over it. You just have to be careful. Just do it gently. You don't need to rush. Because if you rush it up, the thread may cut and that will still delay your work further. So you just take it slow. I'm going to cut it here now. And I'm going to turn this inside. See the little one underneath this. So flipping it to the other side now. So I'm going to do this one. Okay? So I'm going to sew like this. So you can see that we've been able to finish this end. See, so this is the first method I said earlier on. So this is the first method by which you can achieve the spiral fabric. So you can now go ahead to like attach it to whatever it is that you are working with. So we are just going to put this aside, then we are going to work on the second method. Here is the fabric and the boning for the second method. Remember, we are using boning for the second method, that boning that we shred. So here's how we are going to start this method. You are going to pick up your fabric. I'm going to set this aside. Pick up your fabric like this, okay, and you fold it in half. Alright, did you get that gist? You fold your fabric like this in half, okay? Then you go ahead to put your bone inside of it like this. Okay? So you put your bone inside, just like this. Then you sew. Do you understand that? I hope you all understand that. Pick your fabric this way, fold it in half on the width. On the width, not on the length, on the breadth of the fabric. Fold it in half like this. Then you are going to sew. Okay? So for this, I'm going to be changing my foot. I'm going to be using a zipper foot for this. So I'm going to change. So after changing my foot now, I'm going to pick this, fold it in half, put your bone inside of it like this. Then I'm going to sew. Okay? So I'm going to make sure the reason why you're using the zipper foot is because you know this space is thin and you can always do it like this in a way that it will not pass through it. Okay? So you're going to bring it. I'm going to take that with me so that you can see that. So arrange your fabric as you sew. So this is the first one. Then you pick the second one again. Then you put your bone in between it again. Okay? So you can decide on the space. You can either do it like this. If you want it to be full, like very full, you can do it next to it, just like this. Okay? So you're going to put another sewing here. Okay, so this is the third one. You can see that I'm putting the boning close to each other. So if you are saying that, what if I want to space this one? You're just going to, after sewing this one, you're going to make another stitch. Let's just say we want to add maybe a quarter of spacing now, okay? Or we want to do 1 centimeter or want to do a quarter. We just need to like stitch another stitching without the boning. Without the boning. I hope you understand what I mean by the boning. So you're going to stitch that spacing you want. So after you have stitched up that spacing you want now, you know that this is the spacing, you will now put your boning inside. Like this. Then you sew. And then you can see that you've been able to create the space in between. So let's still keep the same space. If you still want to keep the same space, you have to move by what? A quarter of an inch or 1 centimeter or ½ inch, depending on the space you desire to keep. So we're going to keep the same quarter of an inch space that we did earlier. Now we are going to put our fishing line here now. If you look at this closely, you'll see that we've been able to space this. Okay, this is one, and this is another one, then this is another one. So we've been able to check out this spacing. So you can either do it like one next to the other, then next to the other, or you can have your spacing in between it, just like this. So I'm just going to like do this over now with the spacing till I get to the very end of this. This is how far we have come now. You can see the spacing I have left on it. This is not really as spiral as the first one that we made. It gives it a bit of structure. So if you want something that will give you more structure, you can use this fishing line. You can also use the two if you still want a spiral and you still want a bit of stability. You can infuse the fishing line and the fishing line that you took out of the boning, you can infuse the two together. So
Now that we have gotten to the end of this, I'm just going to turn this the row hem. Just give it the row hem and then stitch. So we just need a finishing on that end. So we have our knit finished now. So I'm just going to insert my boning fishing line just as I did the first time. So I'm just going to insert this now. So this is it. This is what our boning looks like. So you can now go ahead to finish these edges the way I showed you earlier on how to finish the edges. So this is it, and this is the second one we created earlier. You can go see how spiral this tool looks. Okay, so this gives a bit of structure. Okay, so but it's still spiral though, but it doesn't give us that spiral look. But this gives more of a spiral fabric. Okay, so if you want to something that is still spiral but can still stand, just like the one I created, I'm going to show us. You are going to use one of this fishing line and one of the fishing line from the boning. Okay, so that's going to give us that spiral and still structured look. Okay, so I'm going to fix this on the mannequin so that you can see how to style it. Now here is the final look between the first one we created and the second one. I'm sure you can spot the difference between the two, the one with the spiral and the one with the Regilin boning fishing line. Now I went ahead to also style it this second way. Let me know if this was supposed to be a dress. Would you like style A or style B? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'll see you in the next video.